Shalom, shalom, shalom to everyone watching, and good morning, Boker Tov to everyone. It's a beautiful Thursday morning here in Florida, and we are going to soon get started with our morning class. Of course, as you know, time goes by so fast, so we want to take advantage of the morning and bless Hashem in everything that we do, including giving over shiurim. And there's going to be a lot of things happening this coming 4th of July holiday. We do have some conversions that will be taking place, and also weddings. So I will be definitely busy this 4th of July weekend, no doubt about it. And want to let you know, if there are those out there that have asked me to marry them, you're welcome to reach out to me. One of our services is what I provide, or what we provide, is actually marrying couples, Jewish couples, as well as those that wish to be married according to secular law. Whatever we can be of help, please let me know. My information is below. And also keep in mind that we are pushing the annual membership for the Ways of Israel is only $100 a year, and you become a member with the Ways of Israel, and we will send you out a identification card identifying that you are a member of the Ways of Israel. Now we're going to get in this morning because in our last study we were looking at the service of the fear of God and also the joy. In this section of chapter 34 of Sefer Haikkarim, book 3, he'll get into the area of combining both of them and how they both actually work. So let's get right into the study this morning. Sefer Haikkarim, chapter 34, book number 3. And he begins saying that the essence of divine service and performing a commandment is, as we have seen, the fear of God. We have also found that divine service must be inspired with joy if it's to be complete. But it's hard to reconcile fear and joy. So we must therefore treat this matter more at length, so that when we have a complete and more practical understanding how one inspired fear can at the same time be glad and rejoice, seeing that fear and trembling depresses the heart and make it grieve, while joy obviously awakens the heart with gladness. So every person understands that in order to attain some high degree of or honor, he must undergo the great toil and trouble for a certain time. Now, although while enduring the toil and trouble and undoubtedly suffer pain and grief, nevertheless, when he considers in his mind the great honor or great degree which he expects to attain through that trouble, the later is reduced into nothing in comparison with that expected good. The same thing applies to the fear of God that we have been speaking of. When one considers the high degree which he may attain through fear, the fear which results from reflecting upon the divine sublimity and worth, he ignores all trouble and the grief and the trembling which can come upon by him by reason of the fear. Solomon has a very apt analogy which is in agreement with what we have just said. If thou seek her as silver, and search her for as hid treasure, then thou shalt understand the fear of the Lord. The meaning is that although there is great trouble involved in mining the silver, which comes out mixed with water, similarly in digging for a hidden treasure on one's premise, there is a great trouble and toil and effort, and one may injure a finger or a thigh and feel great pain. Nevertheless, one searches after these things with eagerness, even though he feels pain and suffering when he hurts, and still when it's considered the purpose, namely the treasure or the silver, he rejoices and bears all the pain and trouble gladly and in good humor. In the same way, we must think that the toil and fear and trembling which one suffers when he is inspired with the fear of God, we must nevertheless feel great joy when he reflects on the great values of the purpose to be attained, namely submission to God. And in his service, which is the purpose of fear, This is the meaning of the passage quoted. If thou seek her as silver, and search for her as for hid treasures, then thou shalt understand the fear of the Lord. This is if you bear all trouble in good humor, like one who digs for a hidden treasure and who mines silver, then you will understand the fear of the Lord. For in the very same way, you should be glad and rejoice despite the pain and trouble and toil which comes to you through the service of God. Not everyone can attain this degree, obviously, and hence the person who does it is called one who serves from love, and not merely God-fearing. Abraham was told at the end of his trials, "Now I know that thou art a God-fearing man," after the fact. But if he is also called a friend, Israel being spoken of as the seed of Abraham, my friend. Our rabbis say that those who act from love of God and take pleasure in their suffering comes under the biblical designation, "But they that love him shall be as the sun when goes forth in the might." For he who loves God pays no attention to the trouble and the toil and the pains which comes to him through the service of God. When God first revealed himself to Abraham, he told him to leave his land and his birthplace in order to try him and to accustom him to bear for his sake the trouble and toil which has been borne in travel. Then when Abraham stood his test joyfully and with good humor, the Bible called him a friend. All of this shows that the cheerful endurance of the toil and the trouble and the service of God gives perfection to the service and the fear of God. The fear of God is not like the fear of human beings. If one is in fear of human beings or a king or a prince, he is in constant terror and dread, which shortens his life actually. Whereas the fear of God, far from shortening a man's life, increases it. The fear of the Lord prolongeth days. The wicked, on the other hand, who do not fear God, not merely do not live longer than others, but their lives are shortened. Similarly, although it's natural that a timid and fearful person should have children as timid as he, and that he should never become rich or maintain his wealth because being always afraid, he does not attend to his affairs properly. Nevertheless, David says, "Happy is a man that fears the Lord, that delights greatly in his commandments. His seed shall be mighty upon the earth." The meaning is, happy is he who fears God, for this fear does not lead to timidity, but to might, so that his seed shall be mighty upon the earth. Also, he that delighteth in his commandments, though his involves expense, will not lose his wealth. For wealth and riches are in his house, and the merit endures forever. This is to show that the fear of God does not shorten or diminish either wealth or life, and does not bring about misfortunes like the fear of man. Solomon says, "The fear of the Lord tendeth to life, and he that hath it shall abide satisfied. He shall not be visited with evil." And this is the fear of God that does not cause death but leads to life. The man who fears God will want for nothing but will abide satisfied, and he will not be afraid of misfortune, for he shall be not visited with evil. What a beautiful thing that Rabbi Alba just summarized of the idea of fear and joy, and that provides that we become friends of God when we do it properly, and we connect with God in this way, bringing a satisfaction and a contentment no matter what situation we may be in, that we know we have a reverence to God, a fear of God, and a love of God that really passes all understanding. And this God rewards in such a way that you see in the life of the person God's hand in every way, including not being visited with evil. Well, here he finishes chapter 34, and in our next chapter, chapter 35, he gets into the actual part that he introduced in chapter 34 of fear and joy, which is the love of God. And here we'll enter chapter 34 tomorrow with God's help, Bezrat Hashem, and we will get into that. We only have 37 chapters in book number 3, and then immediately afterwards we'll get into his book number 4. May God bless you today and forever, and may God richly bless you and strengthen you with health and all good from him who is the blessed one from above. God bless you, and remember, be part of the ways of Israel. Donate today. Shalom.